Hopefully, one day sponsored though. One day.
All right.
Find us, Dr. Pepper.
Oh, God, I saw Dr. Pepper Freezies are coming to Canada, and I'm like,
what are
why?
freezies?
Yeah, what's a freezy? Is that like an icy?
Freezing.
What? No.
A Slurpee?
Are you guys? You don't know what freezies are?
We
No,
don't
we
have
Slurpees
freezies.
and ices. We don't have freezies.
You don't have freezies?
Are they like Otterpops?
The fuck is an Otterpop?
Otter
Otter
Oh,
pop.
Otter
Auto
Pop. Yeah, yeah.
It's not a fucking transformer.
It's a fucking animal. Otter pop.
Auto pops. Transform.
Hey, Jake,
Okay, hold on.
it's like those animals you have in Canada called beavers.
Okay.
Beavers? Yeah, we
But
don't
it's
fucking
close.
we eat the tails, not the beaver.
So, okay, Jake, is a freezy one of those like popsicles in a plastic tube?
Yeah,
It
with
comes
the
like
jelly,
you buy
with
it
the
in a
juice.
box of them and it's liquid.
That's
and
an
then you
Otter
freeze them.
Pop.
Otter Pops?
That's
Yeah,
an
they're called
Otter
Yeah.
Pop.
That's an Otter pop.
They're just called freezies.
No, they're called Otter pops.
They're Otter Pops.
You guys are so weird, honestly, down there. Like, fucking, you're naming freezies otters for something. You don't even have otters down in the U.S., do you?
Yeah, we do. What of
We
otters
don't.
down here?
We don't have
Hunted-
beavers.
hunted-
Hey,
We don't
you
have
oughter
beavers.
know.
We have.
You
Yeah,
otter no.
I-
Oh, wow.
I caught what you did there. Nice.
Great. I'm glad we're recording this. This is great. It's not on YouTube, but we'll have this as a treat for the audio listeners as they try and figure out what the fuck a freezy is.
Didn't I say I was going to do outtakes at some point? I probably should.
Why is
I
it
bet
called
one of
Otter
our-
Pops?
because
Well,
that's just because it's what it's called.
All of the pops are a different animal. Like there's
Yeah.
like grape gibbon and stuff like that.
Oh, I thought
You
they
shitting
were
me now?
all.
They're
I thought they
otters,
were
but I
all
thought they were
various
different names.
otters with like different
Yeah.
personality.
Maybe.
and outfits.
Maybe. I don't know.
Is the what personality is corn syrup? High fructose corn syrup. Is that an otter?
All of them.
It's all of them.
Yeah.
It's encompassed by all. That is the god of Otter Pops.
Yeah. It's Mr. Fructose.
Let's say on the seventh day
Mr.
he
Fructose.
created fructose syrup,
And
Yep.
it was good.
and it was good. Then he
All right.
rested because he had a
What are
sugar coma.
Wait, who's hosting?
Fuck, I don't know. I don't mind. I just don't have an opening line.
We used to plan all this out.
Dude,
Listen,
we planned episode
some-
ideas for like a
we
month in
did
advance. We're doing
episode-
great.
killing
I
the episode
I-
idea.
yeah,
It's
I
just who the
know,
fuck's gonna run this goddamn
But we
car?
used to plan out each episode. Now we've gone to like, let's just talk high concepts and be done with it. Like,
Yeah. We're all hosting today. We're all the hosts.
I think I have an everybody bling. I think I made one that does everybody.
Did you?
I think I did.
I don't know if I have that
I
one.
think
I have
I-
the main four.
I think I used it for our intro on Press B or on YouTube.
Oh, the trailer.
I think I used it for the trailer. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where it
The
is.
5 Ds of
It's okay.
platforming:
Five
dodge, duck, dip,
The
dive,
5
and
D's
dodge.
nuts.
wow.
Yeah, you want to do that as an
Okay.
opening line? That's fine.
Okay, sure.
I'll take
Yeah.
it. It's either that or it's I'll sleep when I'm dead. 2 Ds.
Dude,
Platformers.
double D's.
Wow.
Get 2D chopper.
Get
2D chop.
Ooh.
Okay, we are now live on YouTube.
Oh,
So
okay. I have to behave now.
let's
I'm not gonna
stick to
count
the
this
Otter
time.
Pop discussion. That was family
I'm-
friendly.
I'm not gonna count this time.
What's wrong with the Otter Pops? Or the Freezies?
I still,
The
I
Great
can't. Out
White
of all the
North
things
Pole,
I tell you guys we have in Canada, the one thing you guys say you don't have is freezies is like mind blowing to me. I know you have Otter
have it.
Pops, but
we have a Tasty Freeze, which is
Yeah.
what the hell's that?
It's just it's a Dairy Queen
That's a-
affiliate. It's not affiliate.
Yeah,
It's a Dairy Queen.
that's
spinoff.
soft serve. That's soft serve ice cream.
Yeah.
That's
Tasty
delicious.
Tasty.
You call them
Freeze.
blizzards
Yeah.
up here.
Well, they're Blizzards at DQ, but here we also have another company that's similar to Dairy Queen called Tasty Freeze.
There's also Foster's Freeze. You don't see a whole lot
Foster
of those
Freeze, the
anymore,
other
though.
one. Yeah,
Foster free. Okay.
Foster Freeze is another.
Like we have slush
Uh,
puppies and we have Slurpees from 7-Eleven.
Sinster
Slush-
says,
Yeah, we got Slurpees.
Sinster says there's a weird staticky sound coming through every so often. Is it one person or is it everyone?
It's probably the freezies talking.
It's probably the freezies.
It's the fructose corn syrup.
It's
Let me
it's
see.
Mr. Fructose.
Is it coming through from me?
No, well, I'm not hearing it.
I'm like, I have
Yeah,
nothing on. I don't even
I
have my
don't hear
fan.
anything, so that's why I was just wondering if maybe it was me.
Okay. Hopefully we're all right. Sincer says she hasn't been able to figure out what the cause is.
Indeed.
Let me record locally then, because I'm not hearing the static
Yeah.
on my end. So I'll do that.
She says, yeah, I think it was Wolf.
I don't hear
Weird.
anything
I didn't hear it.
on our end.
Hmm.
Okay.
Let me try
start
unplugging
recording,
and
so we
plugging
have
back
it.
in my microphone.
Okay.
Okay. F it, we'll do it live. See, I made that one family friendly.
Hopefully that helps. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
Get
not,
stuff away
I'll
from the,
re-upload the recording I have to YouTube instead, and we can go from there. That's cool.
Okay.
But thanks, Interest. I never would have heard that. So this helps.
Yes. Thank you, Sinstress.
Okay.
All right.
What a week. All right, Chard. Opening line whenever you're ready, I guess. Oh, hold on. I gotta get the video ready.
Yeah, get the right video selected.
There we go. Am I hosting afterwards? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. You roll
Okay.
there, brother.
All right.
Sure.
If you're cool with that.
Okay. I'll give you guys
Okay.
all my favorite 2D platformers. Sorry, go ahead.
YouTube, this is apple juice.
Yes, that's how we do it here.
Apple crown juice.
I just popped a couple of gummy bears. That's all I've done. Family-friendly gummy bears before the episode started.
This is Dr. Pepper, so not hiding anything here. So, all right, guys, this may be the 4 pillars of platforms, but let's not forget the 5 rules of platforming: dodging, diving, ducking, dipping, and dodging. Today on
Don't dodge over the intro.
Don't Sue Us, Dodgeball, please. Just a bunch of average Joes.
Patches O'Houlihan.
Notable listener to the podcast, Ben Stiller. He listens every week.
And Lance Armstrong.
Don't
There too.
Ben Stiller over the intro.
Wow. Welcome everybody to another episode of Press Me to Cancel, your favorite gaming adjacent podcast. This week we are talking about what are we talking about? 2D platforming games. We're going to do another episode on the 4 pillars of a genre. These are not necessarily the best games of the genre, but the most impactful, the legacy, the ones where when aliens come to take over our planet with the space whales tomorrow, then they say, what the hell is a platforming game? We have 4 games for them. That's what we're doing. So we're going to toss out a few 2D platformers, our favorites, and impactful ones, give them their flowers, and then we're going to try and pick just 4 2D platformers. I'm sure we're all going to get along. There'll be no shouting. I'm sure nobody will get angry, especially after this week. And I'm sure we all have the same hot takes. So how do we begin with this?
Dark
I
Souls
already-
is a platformer, right?
I already need more apple juice for this conversation.
Well, Dark
Well,
Souls
this
is
is why we're
platformer.
sticking to 2D platformers, because when we say platformers, there's like all kinds of 3D ones, and we're going to save those for another episode. And in which case, Dark Souls would be a funny one to try and squeeze in there, because there is technically jumping.
I think we're going to really argue ground rules for like 90% of this episode.
Probably.
Because
Well-
like what in Metroidvania, et cetera, right? I mean,
Right. I mean, a lot of the older stuff is the basis of platforming that then evolved into Metroidvanias or
yeah.
whatever. Like, so we would argue that, and we don't always agree that maybe, we would say Metroid would be a platformer in its original state, probably, but did it not turn into a genre of something totally different? Does that now take it out of the platforming window? Because
We're arguing over Jake's intro.
It's okay. That's
he
just
asked us how we were going to get started. I'm starting.
Okay, so here's the thing. So last time we did an episode on this, we explicitly said Metroid wouldn't count for a platformer or something similar,
Right.
because Metroidvania is such a huge genre on its own. So that's why we were taking it from that. So we consider that a Metroidvania. But I think there is overlap. And you know what? I'm going to call it my first one as I try and fix a window really badly live, which is not working. I'm fucking just so done. The Messenger. That is the one I'm going to propose we start with. And I know we had mentioned the Messenger has Metroidvania elements to it. I'm going to close this window now.
Damn,
But I
Jake
would
comes
argue,
out swinging.
Yeah.
I would argue the Messenger at its core, it's a solid, tight, awesome, fun platforming game first and foremost. The Metroidvania, I would argue, is not even why the game is good. I think that's a secondary part of the game. So my vote first is the Messenger as a platforming game.
I would like to agree with your sentiment on that. It is vaguely Metroidvania, but I don't think it's Metroidvania enough. It's pretty linear in how you explore and do things, whereas most Metroidvanias really let you kind of wander. As soon as you find a new ability, you can go to all the places that you can go. The Messenger doesn't really do that.
No.
Instead,
yeah.
it's you get a new ability and now you can continue on further. And it's not so much a new ability as it's a new platforming mechanic most of the time that changes up how much you have to react to things.
Right. And in
And the
most of
platforming
traversal,
is top notch.
right. Most of the traversal in the Messenger is strategically placed platforms that you have to navigate, right? That's the challenge. When I play the Messenger, it's not the enemies, it's getting around the map, which to me is the sole
Yeah,
root
like,
of a
you-
platformer.
You have things you can bounce off. You have things you can hook to. You have things. I mean, you are literally going from platform to platform. Like,
Right.
I think that I'm going to agree as well. Now, I don't know if this is a 4-pillar level, but the Messenger is a fantastic platformer for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could figure out the 4 later, but I think it's one of the strongest platformers I've played in a very long time. I know we've talked about this game in multiple episodes. I know Wolf, you and I especially talked about it for an hour. We love this game. I do think it's just from a pure gameplay perspective, I think it's one of my favorite platformers. So not exactly retro, but definitely a solid platforming game. So I'm
but
gonna
it's
that's my
retro
first
inspired.
go.
I mean,
oh, for
right?
sure, yeah.
Right. So
So
I feel like it
all
hangs
right.
its hat on there, but would we argue that kind of the main thing that inspires it a little bit, Ninja Gaiden might have something to do with the platforming in there?
Yeah.
It's a little Ninja Gaiden-ish without awful wall grabs.
Well, that's part of the platforming, right?
Well, but I
Accidental
mean,
wall
like,
grab is part of platforming.
an
You just can't
awful
crawl
part.
up it until 2 or 3.
And an awful part of it, but sure.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah.
Ninja
So, 'cause-
Gaiden is one of those ones where I've always wanted to beat it, and I get stuck on I think 6-4 all the damn time. I can't get past 6-4. It is definitely a platforming game though, and I would argue it controls really well, and the music is
Yeah.
pretty decent, and it's solid. So I'm fine adding it to the list here of games.
Well, do we
throw
want to
that on there.
go? Do we want to go round like we normally do, or do we just want to call them out as we go? Because there's a ton in this, so it
Yeah.
might be worth just calling it out as we go.
Okay.
And if
And
we
then
have
again,
something,
we can give them their flowers or just kind of briefly mention a name. And
yeah,
then we
I
don't
was going to
spend
say,
500 years talking about Mario 3 that we've discussed.
yeah, I
800
was going to
times
say
for
if we
better
want to,
Super Mario World, of course.
if we want to call out that Ninja Gaiden has awful wall grabs, good, we're done. Move along.
Yeah. Try and keep this within our hour to an hour and a half time limit.
Okay, well, I was going to say Super Mario Brothers or the original Mario Brothers.
Do you think that the original? Okay, I'm with you on Super Mario Brothers, hands down for sure. We need that there. Do you think the original is a good game though?
I mean,
Like, my
does
thing
it
is
have
the
to be a good game
controls.
to be a platformer though?
Well,
okay, so you're right. Yeah, not a good game, but is it impactful enough to the genre? The original
So-
Mario Brothers.
I have the advantage of being old as hell. So my
Everybody has a
ankle,
superpower.
my ankles are an advantage, people. They're an advantage. No, I remember going into, pizza parlor arcades and seeing the original the original Mario Brothers. And in 1980, we'll call it 1980, whatever year it was a spectacular game. Now,
So
has it
okay.
aged well? I don't know.
Oh.
So my thing is, I've also been to Chuck E. Cheese. Thank you very much. I've also played the original Mario Brothers in a
Yeah.
Chuck E. Cheese when I was a kid. So I guess I'm old as shit too. My ankles are just doing just fine. I would say that playing the original Donkey Kong alongside Mario Brothers, I would take Donkey Kong over Mario Brothers. That said, I don't think that hangs in this list. I would like to see one of the old school platforming games make it as one of the four, but I don't know if I would think. I don't think 81, 82 there is going to work personally. So I don't know. I just think of Mario Brothers, the platforming sucks, dude. Every
Well,
time I play it, even now when I play it and just getting from the top, the bottom of the level, jumping from the girders, and you miss the hitbox of the character, Mario's fat ass does not hit the girder, and by the time you get to the top, the crabs are already down in the bottom of the screen, and then you
look,
got to wait for them to come back around.
we're not saying Ice Climbers is a great game
Uh,
either.
I
Right.
wasn't going to mention that one.
If we're talking awful hitboxes, you have to mention Ice Climbers.
I mean,
The
right.
four
but we're
pillars
not
of shitty
talking
platformers today.
Oh yeah. We'll do that episode later,
the
folks.
4 pillars of the worst ice levels ever.
No, I'm with you, but remember that Mario Brothers, more than Super Mario Brothers, was a quarter sucker, and it was designed to be a quarter sucker.
Yes.
But I mean, that's the argument for most arcades, right? They're designed to steal your money. They're not designed to be
Absolutely. My
beat.
my
So
my namesake, Sinistar, is an awful game, but
yes,
I love
played it.
I
It's
love
terrible.
the voiceover.
Yeah. The only good thing
I would
about
say
it.
you had mentioned Super Mario Brothers, which I think is a fantastic
Yes.
platforming game. I think for me personally, I think that should be one of the four. We can figure that out later. If only because yes, does it hold up today? Gameplay wise, I think it still does. Graphic wise, obviously doesn't. But I think the controls in the original Super Mario Brothers are really tight, really fast paced. I love the physics on the jumping. I love how you can run through a level and speed through it, and you really have to finesse that jump button to get through a stage as fast as you can. I love that. It feels good to play even today. So I
Super
definitely like
Mario
Super Mario
Brothers, the original Super Mario Brothers was a game changer for
Yeah.
platformers.
Yeah.
Like we went from single screen, platformers to the scrolling platformer that had this logical progression to teach you as you played. As you said, the jumping mechanic was great. All of the power-ups are fantastic. Fuck 8-2.
You can beat on my
Bit more
lunch
than-
break. It's fine. It's fine.
Why you gotta hurt me like that?
I got a 30-minute lunch. I got an hour lunch, but it's easy.
No, I
don't use the
agree.
Okay.
Super Mario Brothers is a much better game. And I know we're arguing pillars already, but it is a much better edition of Mario Brothers as a pillar than Mario Brothers.
I would agree with that completely.
Yeah.
I think as a platformer, Mario Brothers doesn't quite cut it because it's also somewhat of it's a lot like the single screen games of the past, like Popeye and stuff like that. And it's not platforming focused the way Super Mario Brothers is. And then
Mhm.
it's also somewhat versus if you got two players going on. So
Right.
it's
It is akin, and I know this is a weird comparison, but Mario Brothers is like a platforming version of Tapper. Like it is
Okay.
all about getting to the right spot and popping the crab. It is, it's like getting to the right spot and capturing the return to, beer glass, right? I mean, it's
Tapper. Well, I mean, what about let's go Wayback Machine and we can talk maybe like Pitfall. I mean, how do we feel about that? That's had numerous recreations of the game too, and isn't Pitfall
Yeah.
considered to be kind of a platforming type thing? The whole point is to get past hazardous locations with a whip.
Especially
Hello?
when it comes to alligators, that is some
Right.
sheer platforming right there.
I mean, we're talking Atari 2600 here. I mean,
Yeah.
jumping over, like, jumping over the pits and the holes and all that shit from Activision. Is this not like the grandmother of platforming in certain aspects? And I'm sure there's things that are older than that. Jumpman being another one, but
Yeah.
Jumpman was before this one, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, people love Pitfall. Pitfall was definitely
Yeah.
an iconic game for its time. It's still, I think people consider it one of the best on the Atari for sure.
Mhm.
Was it an arcade game too, or was it just home console?
I never saw it in the arcade.
I can't
Okay.
say that I know. All I know is that it's been recreated for like the PlayStation and I believe Genesis and Super Nintendo.
Yeah, there was like a reboot of it, I guess. Yeah, Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure. I rented that for the Genesis back in the day.
Mhm.
Actually, a really solid platformer. It's actually
Right.
pretty good. I remember enjoying that one. Is there enough platforms in Pitfall if we're going to disqualify it, or does it work?
Or I mean,
A
you're
lot of
jumping,
swinging.
traversing? I mean,
Yeah.
So I
hard to-
mean, Moby Games says gameplay platform, and there does not appear to be an arcade release of it.
Okay.
you're traversing and jumping. Does that not
Yeah.
make it? I mean, there's not per se. Your platform is the solid ground that you start on that either opens up underneath you or whatever. So you're not traversing from Mario Brothers type platform to platform, but you're still platforming. So
Yeah,
Plus that-
there's
Go ahead.
pits to fall in.
Yeah.
You have to jump over. So,
Plus,
What
there's
is
that
a platform without its pits?
there's that
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful log sound when the logs interact with you.
right. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's hard for
I
me
would
because there's a
be-
lot of games that included like the basic jumping mechanics, right? Like Keystone Capers is one of my favorite 2600 games.
Mhm.
I don't know if it qualifies as a platformer because it's more of just like a plane you go across in a mall, and there's just 3 level like tiers, but there's no risk of falling off a platform. Or like when I look at something like Circus Charlie, which I think at its heart and in the spirit is probably a platforming game, even though it's not really platforms. Don't shake your head at me. It's a platformer, guy.
But just
Just
rubbing
because you're
my
on the
eye.
back of an angry lion or riding a speeding horse, jumping on trampolines, what more says platform than a trampoline that you have to traverse over a horseback?
I'm
It's a
gonna
platforming game.
I'm
So-
gonna give Jake this one. Circus Charlie is a platformer.
I
There you
mean,
go.
I would assume yes to that because you are. If we're going to count Pitfall, then we technically would have to count that, right? Because it's doing pretty much the same thing. It's just doing it on a tightrope on the back of a lion.
So we're
With
just gonna
flaming
put it up
hoops.
here under the 4 pillars. We don't have to keep it there, but I'm just
Oh,
gonna put
dear
it up there for a
Lord.
little while and just see what that
As a
looks like.
placeholder, huh? I was
Oh,
going to
dear
put it here
Lord.
as a
warm up
placeholder.
there in that
Yeah.
pillar. That's all I'm gonna do. We're just gonna leave it there. Let's see what
Hey,
it looks like up there for a
hey,
while. That's all.
You land on platforms.
Let's
You
see
land on platforms in Joust. You land on platforms in
Let's
Joust.
see what this looks like, just to see if we can marinate on it existing there for a while. Get used to
Season
it.
it. Season it. Look, honestly, you know how hard it is for me not to say Balloon Fight as well. I love Balloon Fight,
No,
and I also think that's a platformer. But I feel like instead of jumping, it's flying. And even though there's a lot of control in the flight, which I feel is a part of platforming, I feel like you spend too much time in the air, not enough on the platform. So I did not say Balloon Fight. I restrained myself. I'm trying to keep to the spirit of the episode. But yeah, Circus Charlie deserves to be there.
And I want to cater on what Wolf said earlier. That's more of a versus kind of thing, right? Like,
yeah,
Balloon
and
fight?
the adventure
concept
mode
of
has
joust
no
and balloon
platforms.
fight. Right. You're fighting
That's
something.
true, yeah. The
You're
balloon
not-
trip has no platforms whatsoever.
Right. You're not traversing
Okay.
anything. You're just
Yeah.
flying around the city.
Sorry, I'm gonna move us along because we've got a lot to cover.
Right.
And
All right.
yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna throw out one. Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Now we're
of
talking
course, all of
talking
its ilk.
the Genesis version, right? Or does it matter?
I personally hate the Genesis version, but that's because I'm
Yeah.
so used to the Super Nintendo version. They look so similar, but it
Right.
plays like the NES game. And so
Right.
my brain doesn't You're crossing the streams. It's not cool.
Can we agree that ghouls and ghosts can also be represented by ghosts and goblins?
Yes. Well, I kind of feel like
I mean, the whole
hand in hand.
franchise is very much like
Okay.
Listen, I was just trying
the
to find
same
Sega
mechanic.
games to
There's
put in
just
there,
slight
so Sega
changes
had
here
some
and there.
time in the sun.
My
So I was
experience
trying-
was actually in the arcade with these games.
Yeah, this
Okay.
and this one is the arcade version, just on the
Yeah.
Genesis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Genesis port was very faithful to the arcade version.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
yeah.
absolutely a platformer. And an excruciatingly painful platformer.
Can be.
Game's so
Yeah.
painful, you have to do
Maybe.
it twice, right?
Yeah. And with the worst weapon in the game.
Yeah.
So to me, there's only so much that's affected by RNG in these games. Most of it is very much camera placement and the player's choices.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like 99% of things that can go wrong is on the player, right?
Yeah.
You have to learn where things happen, what happens, like how far you can go before you're causing problems for yourself, things like that.
Right.
Whereas, you take other games and I'm shitting on Battletoads a little bit here. Battletoads relies so heavily on the RNG. You cannot read that shit. Whereas Super Ghouls and Ghosts, up front, it appears to be just an onslaught of chaos, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's controlled chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
I could see that. But Battletoads, again, mostly a beat 'em up. Mostly.
Yeah.
It has
I'm
platforming
just,
elements,
like,
of course, but right.
People love Battletoads, and I think I can't get into it because of the RNG.
Mhm.
People hate Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I think it's amazing because it lacks the RNG. Everything is in the player's control.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay. All right,
Think of
Super
that.
Ghouls and Ghosts. What else we got? Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers World. I think, of course, we can put it on there. We don't need to spend a lot of time talking about it. Those are legendary.
I think we pick a Mario because honestly, Mario could take all four pillars if we really wanted it to, right?
Yeah.
There's one I just thought about that I think we have to at least mention. Mario Maker for the Wii U and how impactful that was, because the sequel nowhere near as important as the original on the Wii U. The ability to make levels, share them with people officially, right? This is not some hacked level editor that we've seen before in ROM hacks. This is official level maker for Mario. It was huge. People were playing this for like the solid years of the Wii U's lifespan. I mean, I think it was one of the killer apps for the Wii U. It actually made sense to have the tablet with the stylus because of Mario Maker.
Yeah.
I think this is my pick.
Well, let's throw it on the list for sure.
Okay.
Anything Kaizo, how you pronounce that?
Kaizo.
Oh,
Kaizo. Well, you can make Kaizo levels, yeah.
Do we
Right.
want?
Yeah.
Do we want the most punishing platformers ever? The pillars of punishing platformers.
Yeah.
See, there's an alliteration. Pillars of punishing platformers.
That's like our 5Ds.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it out there because we kind of talked about this. I think Mega Man 2 is an absolute platformer. I know there's a little run and gun, but I will tell you right now, Quickman stage alone is enough of a stage to make that a platformer that could even be on a pillar, if you ask me. That game is...
I mean,
I've lost more
Airman
to
stage
platforming than bosses.
Yeah, Bubble Man, like it's a difficult game with heavy platform. Heat Man, right?
Yeah.
That's the one where there's a whole segment where you have to time with the platforms, otherwise you just fall into a pit of death.
Yeah.
And then there's
like
even a boss fight.
power-ups.
You're being chased across platforms.
Right, the dragon.
The dragon.
And then the power-ups where you actually spawn platforms even, right? To get through some areas.
Yeah.
So I thought about Mega Man. I'm like, I wasn't sure because it's run and gun, but then the more I think about it, no, a lot of the core of that game and the whole franchise is jumping on platformers, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like what do they call them? The Yoku blocks, the ones that disappear.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a core trope of Mega Man. And out of all the Mega Man games on the NES, I think the second one is arguably probably the better one. I mean, I know we talked about this in a prior episode, but I think Mega Man 2 is definitely a great one out of all of them.
I throw 2 up there because of the disappearing blocks and Heatman stage, like Wolf said, but also the Quick Man stage with the lasers that you have to
Yeah.
navigate. You can either use Flashman's power to get past it, or if you practice and get really good at it, you can do it without it. But that is like core platforming all within itself. And I don't even think of Mega Man, any of the Mega Mans really as a run and gun. I've always thought them to be more platforming than anything. So
Like
the
I'll
stages have
never
killed
forget
more than the
Airman
boss.
stage where the summoning the heads come flying
Yeah.
in and then you have to jump from the cloud things. Like it's absolutely a platforming game and a really great one too.
I would
Yep.
throw that up in one of the pillars to keep another one of those pillars warm.
How do
I
you guys
agree.
think about Sonic? Do we even think Sonic belongs on this list? And I say
mean,
this as a guy who likes Genesis and had a Genesis growing up, and I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Sonic
Well,
3 a lot.
what about Sonic isn't a platformer? Because honestly, it's a faster version of Mario Brothers.
The argument. Go ahead, Wolf. You go ahead. You go ahead.
The thing about Sonic is it tricks the players, right? It implies that the whole game is about going fast, but most of the time going fast is what screws you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Sonic is bad, but I think Sonic is very much its own little beast that does not really represent the best of platformers or the most impactful of platformers.
Right.
That's
But
why
I argue,
I love the Sonic games. I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a shitload of them.
yeah.
Right.
But I
have shortcomings.
argue that they are platformers. They're just
yeah.
fast.
Right. I think I
Until
find
they're
it
not.
difficult to put it in a platforming sense. I mean, you take like Aquatic Zone where you're zipping around the corkscrews and you're running across the water. It's almost like, I mean, there's jumping, you have to get to platforms to traverse, but it's almost too fast for me to be considered in the platforming genre. I guess. I mean, I'm just arguing the same thing that everybody else is saying. It's so fast that it's not really a platformer, but it is. And I know it is. I'm not going to argue that it's not. But it's just quick. Super quick. So I don't know.
You're
I was trying
yeah.
to talk and I muted. I would
Oh.
lean though that if we were going to put a Sonic game on the list, I think Sonic 2 is where it's at personally.
Yeah. I like 3 more, but I recognize that most fans of the franchise prefer the second game.
Oh no, I do think 3 did some great things for the franchise, but
Yeah.
I think 2, particularly as a platformer, is the better, more
And even
representative title.
and even with some people in the podcast disdain for Tails, that did add another extra element of platforming with him being able to pick you up and put you places. So there is some platforming in that as well. Just saying.
November, for those listening later, November said if Hollow Knight and Super Meat Boy aren't making the list, I'm unfollowing. They will make at least the list toward the pillars. They will make the list toward the pillars. We're not sure if they're pillars.
I didn't even think
So
of
let's
Hollow Knight.
let's talk about him.
I
So
did.
Hollow Knight, and I like Hollow Knight a lot. I think it's more of a Metroidvania, and I think it's a strong Metroidvania. So I think when we do a Pillars of Metroidvania, I think that's where we talk about Hollow Knight. Meat Boy,
Okay.
though. Meat Boy
Yeah.
is a platformer
is
through
a
and through.
Oh, Meat Boy
very
is
much so.
absolutely a
Absolutely.
platformer.
Absolutely.
And as far as like a modern retro platformer, it's probably King. It might make a pillar. It might.
Is Jump King considered king of platformers?
I never played Jump King. I've heard nothing.
I haven't either.
It's like a
I've only
streamer
watched
game, right?
people-
Streamers
King
love
games?
playing it.
No. It's basically a vertical you hate yourself game. It's much like
Oh,
Getting
Bennett
Over
It. It's like Get Over It,
which
but
is
with
also a
jumping
platformer
instead.
too.
You would jump to each level, but if you miss, you can fall all the way back down to the beginning. And it's hours and hours and levels of jumping
Okay.
straight up.
I'm going to talk about Getting Over It because you said it is a platformer. You're right. But our rules here are aliens come down to this planet and need four platformers to represent what platformers are. I'm
What were they,
sorry,
whale
but
aliens?
Getting Over It, they would destroy the earth.
They would.
Obviously, no signs of intelligent life here if they're playing this garbage. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know. You're right. No, I wouldn't put that. But Meat Boy, though, definitely I think belongs in this list. I think the best parts of Meat Boy for me is how quick the stages are. I mean, yes, you die a lot and perfect it, but once you have the run down for a stage, super satisfying. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of Super Mario Brothers 1, right? Just the you can take it slow to figure a route through a stage in Mario, but half the fun for me is speed running through Mario Brothers 1, and I got that feeling from Meat Boy, and just how great that was in the Xbox 360. That was one of my favorite games in the Xbox 360, and it's certainly not a game that pushed that system to its limits at all, but it just felt really good.
Right. Doesn't have to be beautiful to be good, right? I mean, unless
That's
you're
true.
playing Obscura.
All right, so I think we need to add Meat Boy to the list. Hollow Knight, I think you're right. I think we do that under the pillars of Metroidvania. I'm going to throw out one that we've talked about offline, but needs to be here. Might be a pillar. Jumpman. I mean, we're talking like original platformers. Jumpman.
For the Commodore 64.
And I played it on the Apple II. So
I have never played Jumpman before. I can't say that I have.
one of the greatest things about
not
Jumpman
either.
is each level has some sort of uniqueness to it. Like sometimes they're these little like, I don't know if I'd call them bullets or pellets or whatever that move across either vertically or horizontally, and when they align with you, they kind of like bullet toward you. There are others where it's a little bit of a puzzle aspect. Each level is unique. So
this is like the first platforming game, I think, isn't what the argument was for Jumpman?
It's pretty darn close.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's one of the reasons why Mario was in Donkey Kong. He was called Jumpman, right, in Japan. I thought that was one of the reasons why, because of an influence of this game. Yeah, I think this is maybe a pillar, but it's definitely one on the list for sure. When did we talk about this one? Was it Hidden Gems?
I think
it was recently we talked about this one.
Yeah, we talked about this not too long ago.
Yeah, or was it the Apple episode? Apple Games?
I think it was the Apple Games episode.
Yeah, I think it was that. Because we also talked about your taxi game.
Crazy Taxi.
Yeah,
or not Crazy Taxi.
No,
Space
Taxi.
Taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jumpman's a great one. And I think obviously dated nowadays, but I still had my fun playing with it on the Mister behind me. Like I played quite a bit of this.
Oh yeah.
Lousy at it, but it was really cool.
I don't think anybody's good at it.
No. I don't think you're born being good at that one.
Yeah. Like this is during the era where they were like, arcade games will be fun at home too. You can press start instead of putting your quarter in.
Right.
So but yeah, I'm gonna argue at least as far as first representative Jumpman.
Okay.
That's fair. I'd like one of the Disney ones to get on there. Either a Rescue Ranger or a Darkwing Duck or a DuckTales.
DuckTales.
I feel like DuckTales is probably more into it than the other two, maybe.
Yeah, I absolutely love Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Same. But the first game I beat as a kid.
I think DuckTales is probably the stronger platformer.
I would agree. With that.
And it kind of falls in line with Mega Man. I think it's the same engine, right? It's just
it's Capcom, right?
It's heavier on the platforming.
Yeah.
I know Darkwing Duck was the same engine as Mega Man, or it was the bones of the Mega Man engine they expanded on for Darkwing Duck. I don't remember if DuckTales was the same engine or not. But I'm with you. Out of all the Disney platformers done by Capcom, I think DuckTales is like the most impactful. I like Chip and Dale too, but I think the uniqueness to Scrooge McDuck's moveset is pretty awesome. And
it's the spring cane kind of adds to that specific that platforming element that the other two don't have, because there's no shooting in DuckTales. It is, I mean, you can kick the rocks with your cane or whatever, but it is primarily traversing via platforming and getting around that way, and then jumping on things to get past them. While Darkwing Duck has the gas gun, and Chip and Dale you can throw things, in a horizontal way. So
But we can't disqualify some sort of firepower because we have put Super Mario and it has flower power.
So I mean, Mega Man has a Mega.
I know.
Blaster,
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying, like, we can't
Right.
discount for at least some little aspect of run and gun.
to shorten our list.
Yeah.
I'm taking the run and guns out of the Disney one.
Well, so because we talked
Well,
about this before
Chippendale
too, right? Like
is-
Contra is technically a platforming game, but I figure it's more of the gameplay is more shooting focused. It's more of a run and gun. But there's a ton of
Yeah.
platforms in Contra.
Yeah.
But I don't think
I'm
I'd
not
recommend
gonna
it for this list.
I'm not going to throw out Rolling Thunder, even though because it's a run and gun, right?
Right.
Right. Now, would games like Marble Madness be considered kind of a platforming, just in a different isometrical look?
But 3D-ish, and we're talking 2D right now.
Does that count
Gosh,
as 3D,
is
though,
that
even
for
though
the
it's a
3D
2D
platformer
engine?
episode? That would be funny.
That would be
I mean,
interesting.
Are we talking like, because that's isometric, right? We're talking like Snake
well,
Rattle or
and
Roll.
yeah, you literally can
and
go up.
Qbert.
You
Yeah.
can go any direction, and the
Yeah.
map shifts any direction, right?
Right.
Can I make an argument against Marble Madness regardless?
Yeah,
right
please.
now?
Absolutely.
There are very few points in that game where you actually jump over pits and don't
Okay.
die.
That's true.
Because most of the time you either
Yeah.
fall too far and shatter,
Yeah.
or you fall to your death because
Right.
you're
Yeah.
not supposed to go over the pits most of the time.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
All right. See, that's why I wanted to ask those. I wanted to ask the tough
That
questions.
I'm going
And-
to argue is more of a puzzler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
an active puzzler.
Yeah,
an active puzzler.
a puzzle platformer.
It's my nickname in high school.
That's another one.
Active puzzler.
Okay, so did somebody add DuckTales to the list?
I will.
No. But
Okay.
we can.
That definitely fits. Just looking at Blue Sky, I did do a community outreach for Blue Sky and on Discord. So we had a few people actually. Dave, I can't talk today. Dave from Tales from the Backlog, as well as Dave from Member 64, so 2 Daves, and Stormageddon from his podcast as well. All recommended Celeste. My great shame is I've not played Celeste for more than 5 minutes, but what I played of it seems great, and it's a platformer.
Celeste is top tier platforming.
Okay.
It really
Yeah.
is. And
Okay.
it has so much content.
Yeah.
Like an absurd amount, to the point where I actually fell off trying to do everything
Wow.
because
So
you beat it
it's-
and then you unlock another tier of stuff. And then you beat that, and then there's another tier of stuff. And there's just so many unlockings. There's like F versions of stages, right? A through F.
Right.
Last time I fired it up, it might have more. I don't know.
So what you're saying is it's your Oblivion.
Jesus.
No, I never beat Oblivion. I
Me
did
either.
beat the main campaign of Celeste. I just didn't beat all the extras. Oblivion, I
Okay.
got caught up in the extras.
Yeah.
I
think it goes without saying about Celeste. That's
It sounds like
Okay, so
Celeste.
Celeste goes on the list for sure.
Yep.
yes.
And then from Blue Sky, the other one mentioned. Has anybody played Rayman? Rayman Origin? Rayman Legends?
I think I told you my story with Rayman.
You should tell it for the
I
podcast.
have.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
okay, real quick.
Share your story.
Yeah, real quick. So, being a Linux administrator by trade, I saw that Rayman, I don't remember which, might have been Rayman Legends, but whatever. It had a Linux version. This is before the Steam Deck. This is before all of the compatibility that we have now. And I saw that it had Linux, and I was like, sweet. And I bought it, and I installed it, and I couldn't get that fucking thing to run. So I uninstalled it and got my refund. That's as much as I've played Rayman.
It's fair.
Okay. Well, Tommy from Tommy and Granco podcast, notable fan of Onions. I like their podcast, and they're also part of our SuperPod network. He recommended Rayman. So,
Okay.
Wolf, you played Rayman? This is another one I wish I played, but I have not touched.
Okay, so I have played the old Raymans and the new ones. The new ones are far superior to the old ones. The old ones were, technically spectacular, but not the best platformers. The new ones are really good platformers, and they do some really cool stuff. Like from stage to stage, they really change it up. and it's built really well to work with anywhere from 1 to 4 players. However, I've never gone back to play it much by myself. I only played it some with my brother, and I was impressed, but not impressed enough to go pick it up on my own or anything like that. So,
Right. Can we talk about like some of the worst platformers out there, like
Well,
Bugsy?
let's finish up Rayman. Do we think Rayman belongs in the list? First off, like I have not played it. Every time I hear about Rayman, it's always been that it's an Ubisoft staple from back in the day. The art style is always considered really amazing, but I don't know about the gameplay itself. So, is it worth having the list? Doesn't sound like it's a pillar from what you're saying, Wolf.
I would not make it a pillar.
That's fair.
Before
Nothing against it, but it did well. Other games did those things well beforehand. It just really made a mixed bag of a lot of things you expect from platformers.
Okay.
What about, before we get to bad, Chard, sorry, before we get to bad, what about Earthworm Jim?
I really like the first Earthworm Jim, but I don't
Me
know if
too.
I like it because of the platforming. I think I hate the platforming. I think I like it because of the humor and the music and the vibe. But I don't know about the platform.
I like whipping my head
Yeah.
out and like using it as a
I mean, yes, it's core platforming, right? But it has the same kind of issue that Battletoads has, where there's a lot of different things inside of it that can take away
that's
from
true.
its platforming
That's true.
aspect.
Okay.
Like riding the rockets or going in the doing the underwater thing and trying not to break the glass and all that stuff.
It
But,
also
in.
I mean,
doesn't have hard established rules for platforms and walkways and things like that. Sometimes you're walking left and all of a sudden you're going up a 90-degree angle like passageway. That's just like whoop, up I go. Because it's stylistically it works for the game, but when you think of a platformer, it doesn't really lend itself to precision
All right.
platforming like that.
All right.
right.
I'm in.
Yeah.
One more before we get to bad. Sorry, one more before we get to bad.
I also have some picks from Discord after you guys are done.
Okay.
Prince of
We don't have to
Persia?
go on mine. We all know Bugsy's a terrible fucking game, so I'm not going to worry about it.
No, we're not going to put Bugsy.
Prince of
Yeah,
Persia?
actually, Sinistar, now that you mentioned it, T088 from Blue Sky also mentioned Dangerous Dave and also Prince of Persia. And I know you're really big on Prince of Persia.
So
I also
Prince of
mentioned
Persia,
Prince of Persia before I saw Sinistar did.
So Prince of Persia is a platformer with puzzle aspects. That's how I'm going to argue it, because there are definitely jumps that are very much timed jumps. There are, moving up and down between platforms. Sometimes, if we're going to go with some of the platformers, there are sometimes blind jumps or blind drops. I don't know. I mean, every aspect of that is a puzzle is part of the platforming. You have to stand on this thing or in this order. You have to get to this door before it closes. You have to, etc. Involving jumping between platforms or dropping down to the next tier or climbing up. So to me, Prince of Persia is a platformer, and it also was kind of the very first introduction of rotoscoping.
Well, then, if we put Prince of Persia in, do we need to talk Flashback? Do we need to talk
The
Ace
Flashback
Odyssey?
was a follow-on to Prince of Persia.
Yeah, I'd rather go with the original, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would throw out Karateka, but Karateka is a fighter. It's that same rotoscoping as Prince of Persia.
Karateka?
Yes. Karateka, as I called it as a kid.
Karateka artery.
Yeah. And Karateka, as I call it as an adult. I used to call it Aklabeth. Now it's a Calabeth.
Xanadu.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay. I don't know if it's a pillar, but I think it has a strong argument as a pillar. Prince of Persia.
Sinistar's been dying on this hill most of the week, so
I have. I have.
we should probably humor him a little bit.
November from chat is mentioning Shovel Knight, and as well, I think Thrak from Discord
Yeah.
also mentioned Shovel Knight, and that was also one of my original games I was thinking about until I thought about I'd rather the Messenger, but I really like Shovel Knight a lot. What do you guys think about Shovel Knight as a platformer?
I don't have a lot of time in Shovel Knight.
I think
I
Wolf
think-
would be probably the better person to answer this one, to be honest with you.
It's good, but I don't think it's as good as other games we've mentioned. Right? Like the
Okay.
whole package is something spectacular and memorable, but its platforming by itself is not what I remember about the game.
Really? Because it's not a Metroidvania, right? Like, there's not really much in the way.
It's
Well,
not,
no, I guess
like-
there is. There
I mean,
is
it
power ups you
has
get.
Aspects like that. I think it's more in line with what you get from Mega Man, where you get power ups, but
Right.
it's not about like, opening up new areas for you to explore in the same
Power-ups
way a
don't help you
Metroidvania
traverse.
is.
Right.
It's more
Okay.
like you can open up an alternate path or a secret, right?
Right. Okay.
Okay. I'm
I'd
going to put
be
on the
willing to
list,
put it up
but
there.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's a
from that
pillar.
description.
Yeah.
I'd put it on there.
Can I want to throw it out there because I want to see your reaction when I do it on here. V.
This guy.
I
It's been
own
ages
this
since
game.
I've played that.
This
Yeah.
is in my backlog. I need to do this as part of my backlog blitz. I own this game. I have never played it, honestly, because I'm like, that is the dumbest name I have ever seen.
It is a dumb name. I will agree with that.
Okay.
And honestly, the name is kind of a pun in itself
Okay.
because the whole game, it's not that you jump, it's that you alter the character's gravity up or down.
Right.
And so it's supposed to be the arrow pointing down because it's gravity. And there are 6
Okay.
characters in the game whose names all start with V.
This
So
isn't
it's
Angel
V
one where
the
you-
it's V the movie or V for Vendetta. Got it.
V for V.
Yeah. No, I swear I
I-
own this one. I've just never played it.
Like, do we need jumping to be considered a platformer or not?
I do own
guess.
it.
I'd say yes. I think jumping is kind of a major. I mean, traversing through the air. I mean, if you're altering gravity and not jumping per se, but you got to land on something that's floating in the air to traverse to the next area.
Yeah, because at that point we have to bring in Metal Storm.
That's not a platformer.
It's the same idea though. So,
That's an auto scroller. I don't believe it. That's a platformer.
Man, I am.
Yeah, but
Right.
Mario has
dumb.
auto-scrolling stages.
They have
Come
auto
on.
scrolling levels, but I don't believe that Metal Storm is
okay.
even remotely a platformer.
Let me run through Discord real quick. We only have a couple picks left there.
Yeah, let's
Jacko
let's,
Ziggy Moons also mentioned Celeste, which we definitely have there. Cthusiast Jeff mentioned Cuphead, which I think is a run and gun.
Yeah.
Jazz Jackrabbit. I've never played that game.
No,
but
Jazz
I know it's like a
Jackrabbit is
classic.
absolutely a platformer.
I've also
It's-
never played it.
It's very much a almost Super Mario Brothers style where you can jump on the enemies. You're going and collecting, instead of coins, you're collecting carrots, etc. But I do think it has, if I remember right, I think Jazz has a gun. But I could be wrong. It's been a
He's armed.
long time.
Remember, we're not
I-
limiting ourselves to people with sidearms.
That's true, because
So-
we have Mega Man on the list.
Yeah,
Jazz
that's right.
Jackrabbit does absolutely belong on the list, at least of platformers.
It's
I mean,
DOS?
as does Commander Keen. They're both DOS games. They're both DOS
I think,
games.
I think Commander Keen we have to mention, right? That was
Commander
a big
Keen
one.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
What about like Alex Kidd or
Oh,
Adventure
Alex
Island.
Kidd in Miracle World. Absolutely.
right?
Alex Kidd in Miracle
There's-
World. Okay.
Yeah, there's
I mean-
points in that where your precision platforming has to be so tight, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
I mean, don't hate us, listeners, because we're gonna forget 90% of platformers while we're talking.
Oh,
There's a
yeah,
lot of
I-
stuff out there.
I absolutely love Alex Kidd, and it was somebody in Discord can't think of it off the top of my head, but I had forgotten about it entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Thrak. Yeah.
Yeah,
He mentioned a
Thrak
bunch
did
of
it.
Sega games.
I mean,
He
we
mentioned
haven't,
like 2 or 3 games that I was like, how did I not think of that?
yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't put Donkey Kong Country on the list.
Kirby.
And
Do
I
you want
We
Donkey Kong
haven't
Country
put-
on this list? Because
Nope.
this is
No.
supposed to be a list of impactful ones, not train wreck
I
of
know.
No.
awful
we
goddamn ice
haven't
levels.
we haven't put Popeye on this list.
Were
I
we
hate
gonna?
Donkey Kong Country. No.
No.
I'm
No,
just
you can't.
saying if we're
Get
I'm
the
trying
fuck out of here.
I'm trying to help chat understand that we're being a little discerning.
Yeah. The other one, the other chat recommended Aaron. Aaron mentioned Wario Land. How
Yeah.
familiar are you guys with the Wario Land games? I barely touched them, but
I
I
think
heard they're
played-
really
I've
good.
played a little bit of it. It's the one where you get the hats that give you the power ups in
Yeah.
certain instances and stuff. Yeah,
I've only played the Wario
it's-
mini games.
it's
Okay.
it's Mario Brothers. It's the same. It's just the same
Same
thing
idea.
with different
Okay.
power ups. It's the same kind of concept.
Okay.
It's if you're talking about Mario, if you're gonna throw Wario out there, then you've already talked about Mario or talked about the same thing. It's just more of the same with different aspects. Because I mean, you talk about Super Mario Land on the Game Boy;
Yeah.
those are very much platformers.
Super
But is it
Mario
any
Land
different than
is a great game.
right? Is it any different than the previous Mario Brothers? Not particularly, no. So
Okay. Is there anything else from our list? So I'm going to quickly run down our list for the audio listeners while you guys think if we're missing anything. All right. So just our list in general: Super Meat Boy, Mega Man 2, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Pitfall, Ninja Gaiden, The Messenger, Mario Brothers 3, Mario World, Super Mario Brothers 1, the original Mario Brothers,
not a
Mario
Mario
Maker, Circus Goddamn Charlie,
Friday Face.
Jumpman, DuckTales, Celeste, Rayman Origins, Prince of Persia, Jazz Jackrabbit, Shovel Knight, Commander Keen, Alex Kidd in Miracle World. Wolf has gotten out of his chair and is now looking at his shelf. Mark your bingo cards.
I'm
Is there
going to
anything
point.
else we
I'm
want to
going to
recognize
point
as
at
a
my.
key platformer?
I'm going to point at my empty background here.
I want to throw Kirby into the mix. I want to throw Jake's most
Yeah,
difficult
Kirby-
game he's ever played. Is
Kirby-
Kirby. What do
Kirby
you
and
mean,
Son of the Moon
no?
Boss.
Don't you shake your head at me, Wolf.
No, I'm with you. Kirby, I
Yeah.
think needs to be on the list, not the pillars necessarily, but on
I
the
think it needs
list.
to be on the list. Kirby's
Kirby's
kind
Adventure
of an
for the
impactful
NES
game.
especially, with
Yeah.
the sheer number of power-ups and
Yeah.
stages. And I know I
What a
bitch about it
cool
all the time, but I
concept
really do
about
like that game. Yeah.
Eating the characters and becoming get that Bard's tail out of here. God damn it. Eating the
What
characters
is a
and
platform
absorbing
if not
their
a dungeon
powers.
floor?
It is a platform.
Yeah.
Should I go get my Dark Souls games? Should I go grab those and start flashing those off, showing those things around? I am wearing my.
Sorry, I moved so I don't have my old background, so I had to go get something for bingo. Sinistar talked about Bard's Tale.
Sekiro. That's 3D though. That's not 2D.
Yeah.
Let's save those for the 3D episode.
Sekiro's a
November mentioned
platform.
Mirror's Edge, and I think that's a
Yeah.
good one for a 3D platformer.
Hell
episode,
yeah, it
for
is.
sure.
Oh,
Definitely.
Mirror's Edge is
Yeah.
absolutely stellar.
Parkour all day.
Yeah, parkour platforming all day.
Parkour.
Parkour.
Yeah,
Anything
I'm not
else
seeing
2D
anything
wise?
else on my shelf that I want to
Okay.
add to the list.
I think we have at least. I mean, I think any of these games we could talk to an alien and be like, "Go play these."
Yeah.
We have to get it down to 4.
4. Do we want to like make it a category of something like of the 4? Like one is a Mario game, one's like an old
Well,
one, one's a modern one. How do we want to break it down?
Wait,
Can
like
I-
like wedding stuff, like something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue.
Yeah.
Wolf's got something to say. What's up, Wolf?
can I recommend Super Mario Brothers as one of them? Not because it's a Mario game, but because it does represent that early precision platforming, multi-screen scrolling kind of thing very well.
I'd argue
I
3, but that's just me.
I'm with Wolf. If we have a representation of Super Mario Brothers as like the representative of this game taught you how to play Super Mario Brothers.
And it could possibly be people of our age group, at least Wolf's, mine, and Jake's, this might be their first platformer when they got
Yeah.
their first gaming console. I mean,
Yeah.
some of us were playing Commodores more or Apple IIs or something in the past, but
yeah.
90% of the millennial Gen X people were playing Super Nintendo or sorry, NES.
Nintendo.
And
I could
yeah,
argue
and
this was my first platformer. So
you know, if you want to say Mario 3 or Mario World, I would argue those are just slight evolutions on
yeah,
the
you're right.
formula that was Super Mario Brothers.
I
They're the best-
absolutely
Kind of where
agree.
I'm at there.
You're right.
If there is a representative of what Super Mario Brothers is, it is number one.
Agreed. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I won't like
I'd
it,
agree.
but I'll
I
agree
don't
with
think I'd want more than one Mario game just because there's
No.
so few slots. But I think Mario Brothers 1 is a great one to put on the list there. It's a good
And-
point, Chard. Like it's likely very much for our generation the first big platformer game you played
Right.
or you remember. I did play a few on the Atari, but it's the Nintendo ones that I remember the most. And
I would say
scrolling
Super Mario-
backgrounds.
I would say Super Mario Brothers also encompasses stuff like Alex Kidd, because Alex Kidd is very similar to Mario. Like, I love me some Alex Kidd. I do think Mario Brothers did it first and did it strong.
Okay.
And
I mean,
I'm going to argue, I'm going to argue that Sonic is going to fall under this category as well, because you jump on enemies, you collect rings instead of coins, you know, et cetera, et cetera. The only difference is they had the faster processor and they had farty base.
They do have farty base.
I like Sonic a lot, but I don't think it's one of the four. I'm with you.
I
I
agree.
think it's covered.
I'm
Mario
kind of
thing.
leaning on that too, and I'm a bigger Sonic fan than Mario myself. But
Yeah.
Do we want to mark Celeste as a pillar just for the fact that first off, it's an indie title and how impactful that was? It's one of the indie titles to play, and it's one of it's one of those games that a lot of people own it, whether they realize it or not. And it's stellar platforming, right? And there's, like I said, a lot of content there.
Let's put it in the pillars for now.
I would argue that Super Meat Boy doesn't share the same thing.
Yeah, I think I would take Celeste over Super Meat Boy.
Yeah,
I would pick Celeste. I like Meat Boy a lot, but I think Celeste is the better game.
right.
Okay, I know we have Jumpman on the list, but I'm going to argue Commander Keen is a better representative of kind of the PC platforming era.
Okay.
If we
I
had
cannot
to
argue for or against. I have not played enough of those.
if we had aliens come down and say, show me a DOS PC, you know, Commodore 64, a computer platformer. I love Jumpman. I love Prince of Persia. But I really think Commander Keen is kind of that representative. I really do. It's tight. The controls are tight. It has, you know, a little background story-ish to it. It's got some world exploration like, you know, Super Mario 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, Stress is right. Telling aliens to play Commander Keen might piss them off, though. That's kind of where my head's
I've never
at.
played it. Is it hard? Is it
Well, no. That's the
Challenging.
Commander Keen aliens.
Oh, you're
the
fighting
whole thing.
aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Well, hold on. I have kind of an argument in favor for Jumpman. Jumpman's kind of the guy, right? It's like it's the thing before the things.
It's the first one.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
shouldn't that just automatically be a pillar? I mean, it's not like it was terrible, right? It's
No,
No,
it was a
good.
good game. It is
Exactly.
a fantastic game.
I mean, if Bubsy was like the first game ever, you'd be like, obviously they got all these things wrong. We're gonna pick Mario instead because it did it better. But if Jumpman is a platforming to the core and it's good and it brought along all the other games, I don't think Commander Keen really holds up to the one, right? It's like the Neo of platforming games, right? It's the one. The Oracle made him eat a cookie and sent him to go break down the system. That's what Jumpman is.
Don't worry about the face.
I would take Jumpman over Commander Keen personally.
Yeah,
myself.
Okay,
because it's the first one, and it's also the PC or the computer representation, which I think is you're right, Sinistar, is important. I think. I would vote Jumpman.
I just
And I
think
think
aliens would have a better time playing Commander Keen, but I'm willing to go with Jumpman.
I think it would stave off a Xeno war if we didn't give them Commander Keen. So I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Wolf, what do you think?
I don't have a horse in this race because I've never played either one much.
Okay.
I think I've only played a little bit of Commander Keen, and I don't remember a ton of platforming in what I played.
I'm coming at it from I have vast experience in Commander Keen, Jazz Jackrabbit, and Jumpman, and I'm saying Commander Keen, but if we want to say grandfather of platforming, then it's going to be Jumpman.
Right.
Yeah. Let's put it there for now, and then we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Okay. So we have Super Mario Brothers 1.
All
NES
I know
era.
All I know is I'm going to go fucking play Commander Keen after this, you assholes.
You do whatever you want.
So Super Mario Bros. 1 NES era, right? The 80s. We have Celeste, which is how old's Celeste now? 10 years? It was like, but I mean the indie title, right?
Yeah.
And then we have Jumpman, which is the original. Nothing 16-bit. Is there something 16-bit we'd want to put in there? Or 16-bit inspired? Like
Super
the Messenger?
Ghouls and Ghosts.
I mean, the Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Ghouls and Ghosts probably would be. I would rather see DuckTales get on there myself.
Yeah.
I was also going to argue and say skip right ahead to the Messenger.
I mean, but we have. I feel like Celeste is kind of representing games.
But
like
is Celeste a better representation of modern platforming than the Messenger?
That's like saying we're going to have Commander Keen and Jumpman on there at the same time.
No, I'm saying maybe we replace Celeste with the Messenger.
I really like the Messenger.
I do think Celeste is an amazing platformer. To me, I like the Messenger more because it incorporated combat as platforming.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm very torn between
kind of biased. Like we're kind of biased towards the Messenger because we all love the Messenger.
Yeah,
right.
If we're
I'd throw Ninja
that,
Gaiden on there.
If we're telling people that have never played a platformer, here's the 4 representatives. Would you say Celeste or would you say the Messenger as one of those representatives?
I have told more people they need to play the Messenger than I've told people they need to play Celeste.
I mean, that's
same.
Some truth to that.
I would always recommend the Messenger to anybody. And it's just, but it's not just because of the platform, it's just because the game is really fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? But I can see what you're saying, Chard, where Celeste and the Messenger, both really great indie titles. I see the and only limited number of slots.
Yeah, they're both spectacular modern representations of the genre.
I feel like we can't have both. If we're talking 4 pillars, we'd either
we gotta
one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
in
if
my
not the
personal
Messenger
opinion.
and Celeste together, then what would be another pillar then? If we setting aside the Messenger and Celeste, I'll put them side by side for now. Right.
I put Super Ghouls and Ghosts up there. I would throw that on there.
Game's not good though.
We don't.
But it is good.
How can we not have a Mega Man representative as a
fuck
pillar?
yeah? I forgot about that. No, I'd put Mega Man up there. I would take Mega Man needs to
honestly, I think if you were talking platformers, I think like there has got to be a Mega Man on the pillar somewhere.
I would take Celeste off, put Messenger on, and then Mega Man round it out. I would be fine with that.
My only issue with Mega Man 2 being on this pillar is that because we already have Mario Brothers 1, and it's 2 NES games on this list, on the 4. But I think Mega Man 2 is an excellent platforming game.
Mega Man X.
I would be fine with Mega Man X.
Mega Man X.
What?
I hate those games. I hate them. I can't stand them.
You don't like
the original Mega Man games.
The first one is amazing.
As far as a pillar, representative of 16-bit platformers, what is better and we're excluding Metroidvanias because I would be like Super
Yeah.
Metroid all day long.
Yeah, I'd throw Super Metroid up there too.
But excluding Metroidvanias and of course Castlevania, Super Castlevania,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
Mega Man X.
My thing with Mega Man X is the view is too zoomed in, and it feels less of a platformer and more run and gun than Mega Man does. Right? Mega Man was definitely platforming. Mega Man X feels more like a run and gun to me. Like the zoomed in look of it.
It is
The
faster. 'cause
heavy
you got the
focus on
dash.
combat. I hate how there's a lot of dashing, not necessarily jumping. The boss fights, I can't stand the boss fights in X because you have to use the I have a struggle with Mega Man X. It's just I just don't like that series at all, and I've tried so many times. I would definitely take Mega Man 2 over X, but I feel weird not having a 16-bit title on this list. But the Messenger is also 16-bit style for half
I
the
agree.
game.
Later. It
agree.
represents the 16-bit era in there later. It counts.
I mean, honestly, if we're talking like modern platformers are a 16-bit retro style, right? The minute you get to 32-bit, you're in 32 or you're in 3D platformers, right? I mean, so
I'd like Mega Man
Are
in there and then
we?
change.
So are
stuff
we
with
kind
NES,
of
but-
going with where they started and where they are? Is that what's happening with these 4 pillars?
I argue that it's the 4 that we tell aliens to play, but it feels like we've applied some additional rules.
Well, I mean, because that's what it feels like at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh.
I do understand that Mega Man X is definitely more fast paced, more run and
Sure.
gun than platforming. I can understand that. I don't understand why Jake doesn't like it, but that's his issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got 3 people and they're very confused at that. That was not an outburst any of us expected to hear tonight.
Jake, you're
Jake,
muted.
you're muted, buddy. You're muted.
I'm.
It's fine.
Gosh, I don't know.
It's probably best we
It's
don't
fine.
hear what you
No,
say.
it's just I like GP fights hard for Mega Man X, and I think I had a debate with him before about the best Mega Man games, and I will fight over the NES ones being better than the SNES ones any given day.
Yeah.
I just don't like X.
Up to 5.
Okay. I'm okay saying the Messenger / Celeste represents 16-bit esque.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
Yeah.
and we think the Messenger over Celeste. Does everybody agree to that, or?
yeah.
Yeah.
My only reservation is that Celeste is purely a platforming game, while the Messenger has other attributes
Yeah.
added to it.
But like Wolf's
it's
right. Even the
still-
combat in
it
the
is-
Messenger is
and it's-
platform coded, right?
Yeah.
So,
In its
yeah.
sole core, it is a platformer. There's just more
So-
to it than what Celeste has.
One thing I want to mention is how November wanted to put Hollow Knight on this list. I think
Yeah.
the type of platforming that Hollow Knight does, the Messenger also does.
Okay.
I could argue that. I'd argue that.
So
Maybe.
yeah, the Messenger feels like Celeste is a representative with the Messenger, right? / Hollow Knight /
Like
you know.
You bought you both games in a bundle.
Yeah.
I think Hollow
And-
Knight though is more representative of the Metroidvanias, and I think that's a game we're going to talk about a
Because you
lot.
need
in
stuff
kind
in
of
that to
episode.
traverse
But I don't
and
think it's-
continue, right?
It's not super Metroidvania though. It's really not. Like
I argue that
November threw out Silk Song. What do you think about that, Jake?
I mean, is that even real? Last
Yeah,
I heard, you can
hopefully
play it in
not.
a museum. It's
I'm
never come
hoping
out.
it doesn't come out until next year.
Yeah, fuck you. I'm already losing. Give me some kind of hope for this fantasy critic. My thing with
Okay.
the Hollow Knight, though, yes, maybe not as strong as Metroidvania. I guess we could argue that, but I think it's a different episode. It's also heavily combat, like boss battles. It's basically a Souls-like but 2D format.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think it's. When I think of Hollow Knight, I don't think of platforming at all. I know there's platforming in it, but I think of Metroidvania.
Yeah,
I think of
I'm-
Souls-like
It has-
battles.
huge platforming segments, but those
I'm
are
Right.
somewhat
fighting
like
things all the
side
time.
quest, end game content, as far as
Yeah.
I recall. And those were my favorite parts of the game, but there was a lot of game there that I kind of struggled through because of the graphical style.
Yeah.
And that's a me issue. I understand why people love the game.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's I don't feel like the game has enough platforming throughout it to count that as a platformer. It's definitely Metroidvania. And I think the messenger does not have enough Metroidvania for it to come up in the Metroidvania episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, November, we did kind of touch on Mega Man having boss battles.
But there are boss battles in Mega Man 2 that involve platforming.
The dragon,
past it.
the dragon specifically, and the meat and potatoes of that game is platforming until you get to the boss.
Yeah,
in each level.
Yeah.
All right.
Where Hollow Knight, there's a lot of battle that happens as you're progressing through.
Right.
So I think for the fourth pillar,
Fine.
I'm just gonna put it up here, and we're just gonna look at it. We're gonna say,
Oh dear
David,
Lord!
just look at it and marvel.
Don't you do it!
Charlie for a minute.
You know,
No.
it's been a great
Was
episode.
a platform, guys, except for a ball that you bounce off of, or through hoops of fire.
It's been a great episode, guys. Our four pillars.
What is
our
a
Super
platform
Mario-
but something holding you up?
Look, our four
Yeah.
pillars.
Like a
It's been
tightrope
great
It's a
with
episode.
lion.
giant rabid monkeys.
What if
Four
I'm a
monkeys.
lion? Let's quote Final Fantasy VIII for how
All right.
bullshit.
No
it is.
takers.
Our
No
four
backup.
pillars.
Maybe
our
I'm a
four
lion,
pillars.
guys.
Super Mario Brothers, The Messenger, Jumpman, and Circus Charlie. It's been a great episode, everybody. Thank you. This has been Press B to cancel.
Yeah.
This has
okay.
forever been press B cancel.
So for a fourth slot, then, are we thinking like Mega Man 2 versus DuckTales? Is that where we're at now, or do you think something else?
I would argue
be
Mega Man 2.
Mega Man 2.
Like,
Yeah.
I really feel like if you're going to like Mega Man 2 is more representative of platformers than Sonic, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and everybody
it-
thinks of platformers as far as Sonic goes. I mean, you know,
But to Jake's point, is there more of a platforming core in DuckTales than there is in Mega Man?
No. I think
No?
Mega
Okay.
Man 2 especially is at its heart a platformer first and foremost.
Okay. And that's why
I like
think we go
DuckTales a
Mega Man
lot.
2. Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I'm
So
more into the Mega
my
Man
last
2.
question here is, if we're doing that, like, is it Mega Man or is it Ghouls and Ghosts?
Mega Man.
I think Mega Man represents that better.
Mhm.
Because yes,
Okay.
Ghouls and Ghosts has, you know, you eventually get your weapon that you can, like your dagger or your arrow or whatever, and you are moving across and you are jumping and whatever, but Mega Man adds disappearing platforms, adds the ability to
Well-
create platforms, adds, you know, et cetera, et
Mm.
cetera.
So does Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I
You
mean,
can
have a
create your
way
own platform.
completely.
You can create
No,
your own
you can't create your
platforms.
own platform. No.
Okay.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I just feel like Mega Man controls better than Ghouls and Ghosts. That was my thing.
And it
But I
does.
don't have as much experience with that franchise like you guys do, though.
Yeah. No, I listen, I am all in on Mega Man 2. 100% all in on Mega Man 2, but
I
I am being
mean,
devil's
either of these
advocate on some of
choices-
these other things.
Either of these choices are Capcom, so I'm not
Yeah.
I mean,
upset
right?
either way.
Just put Capcom on there and we'll I mean,
Yeah.
it just encompasses
Okay.
everything, right?
Wait, so Street Fighter 2 is a platformer?
It can be.
Sweet.
You jump a lot.
There is jumping.
There's jumping.
You ever played Street Fighter 2010?
I have not.
No,
You just
nobody
add 3
plays
more
Street Fighter
numbers and you're
2010.
good.
No, take them back.
I think
Okay, so this is our
I
four.
vote
Our-
I vote Mega Man 2 as the fourth
Okay.
pillar.
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I vote.
I am in.
Okay, so then for press B to cancel,
How did we forget this one? Flappy Bird.
Flappy
Flappy
Bird. I've no.
I mean, why not Doodle Jump?
A Doodle Jump is a platformer. for
Super
sure.
Smash Brothers is a platformer.
Oh, thanks.
Sure
thanks,
is.
Optic. Yes, it sure is. All right. For the four pillars of 2D platformers, according to Press B to Cancel's podcast, are 4 pillars that you would give to the alien space whales so they don't blow our planet up. Super
Whalian.
Mario Brothers 1 on the NES, The Messenger on everything, Jumpman on Apple, and Mega Man 2 on the NES. I
Let's
think
go.
that's a good list of 4.
That's a
I think it's
banger
great list.
soundtrack too.
Yeah,
And if you don't
really
like our list, which is totally possible because we didn't put any Sega on this list whatsoever, and there's
tried.
also not having Celeste or Meat Boy, I think might piss some people off. So I think if you don't agree with us, then please check us out over on Blue Sky. Just look for Press B to Cancel, or PressBeToCancel.com for links to our YouTube at PressBeToCancel. You can also look at our Discord, link again at PressBeToCancel.com. And yeah, let us know in Discord, or let us know in the comments on YouTube video whether you like this list or not. I think there's definitely, out of all the ones we do like this episode, this is one of the more polarizing lists to kind of do. And it's tough to just get 4.
It
And they're
it
just
is.
going to get worse.
I went onto Moby Games and I selected play style platformer, and it's like 18,000 games.
Yeah.
I'll be here for a while.
For sure. And like I was having some reservations about it, having a few games from the NES on here, but I think that makes sense because once you get to 16-bit era, they start adding other genres, right? Like Super
Yeah,
Metroid
I
is a
mean-
fantastic platform, but it's also a fantastic Metroidvania.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's. I think the NES was one of the strongest platforming consoles ever.
Absolutely.
Particularly
could
2D, obviously.
I'm going to
but-
pull in a GP and be like, in the Venn diagram of platforming to Metroidvanian, which side is it more on, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be more on the Metroidvanian side than that because it's fucking Metroid. But you know what I mean? So it's hard to pick. But the NES was the first of its not the first of its kind, but the first major mainstay that had all of these different games on it that were most of them platforming to start. I mean, how did Quantum Kabuki Warrior not make it onto this list? I mean, right? I'm just saying.
it's not a good game. That's why.
I'm just saying, right? There are way too many options to choose from in this particular category. And for an hour and 23 minutes, we did our best to make it as short up as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a joke offline that this was going to be a 4-hour episode. So
our first 24-hour podcast. Watch us sleep.
If it was brackets, it might have gone longer for sure.
Yeah.
I think somehow we tightened it up with this. All
I
right,
think
folks,
it's a good list. I'm going to go
I think
play
it's a great
Commander Keen.
list. There's a lot of good games. I mean, all the games we mentioned today on this list, I think, are great games, right? It's just, but we have to pick 4 to appease the alien overlords that are coming to invade our planet, and just really sell that genre. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up because we've been going long. Again, we are Press B to Cancel. Find us all over your favorite podcast apps. Press B to Cancel. And until next week, everybody have a good one.
It's a me, Mario.
The Pillaro.